Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are tackling a massive reality check, sizing a 48-volt solar array for a true, round-the-clock, 24/7 continuous load of 1,000 watts. A lot of the tutorials you see online kind of treat this as a simple plug-and-play setup issue, but honestly, we're going to dive into why this is actually a hardcore energy production challenge. We'll be using real, grounded energy math. None of that optimistic panel rating fluff, to get to the absolute truth of what your system really needs to just survive.
Look at this quote because it really demands a total mindset shift. If your panels cannot consistently replace what the system consumes, the batteries become survival buffers, right? In a 24/7 system, your batteries are supposed to be your storage, just carrying you comfortably through the night. But if your array isn't harvesting enough energy during the daytime to fully replace what you've burned, those batteries aren't storage anymore. They instantly degrade into survival buffers, getting relentlessly drained until the whole system completely collapses. It's a fundamental shift in how we have to think about off-grid power.
So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to hit the continuous load problem, energy versus power, the three-step sizing math, 48-volt architecture and safety, and we'll wrap up with the daily energy economy. Let's get right into it. Section 1, the continuous load problem. 24,000 watt-hours a day. I mean, when you just hear 1,000 watts, it really doesn't sound like a massive load, right? Your microwave probably uses way more than that. But here's the catch. When you multiply that relatively small 1,000 watt load by 24 hours, it explodes into a 24,000 watt-hour daily survival burden. That is your baseline. That is the exact amount of energy that absolutely, non-negotiably must be replaced every single day. And this is exactly where so many system designs just fall off a cliff. So many tutorials out there treat continuous loads like they're just daytime-only consumption. They'll tell you, hey, just take your load, divide by average sun hours, and boom, you've got your panel watts. No way. By completely ignoring things like inverter efficiency curves at steady low loads or relying on perfectly optimistic average sun hours instead of preparing for worst-case seasonal drops, you are walking straight into a severe energy deficit. Section 2. Energy versus power. Now, to really grasp energy over time, we have to talk about system efficiency. This is the whole shebang of real-world losses, your inverter efficiency curves, your MPPT conversion losses, cable resistance, and temperature derating. Literally no solar system on Earth operates at 100% efficiency. You absolutely must account for this overall efficiency overhead. Why? Because when a system is grinding away under 24/7 stress, those tiny little inefficiencies multiply drastically and quickly snowball into major daily energy deficits. Which brings us to another huge constraint: peak sun hours. Look, you can't just take your panel's rated output and multiply it by all the hours the sun happens to be visible in the sky. It just doesn't work like that. You only harvest meaningful rated energy during very specific peak sun hours. That's when solar irradiance hits that magic 1,000 watts per square meter. This right here is exactly why you cannot, under any circumstances, size a system based on those sunny, perfect summer averages if you actually expect it to survive a dreary winter week. All right, Section 3, our three-step sizing math. So how do we actually do this properly? We use a super disciplined three-step process. First up, we lock in your 24-hour baseline energy demand. Next, we correct for all those real-world losses we just talked about by dividing by a realistic efficiency factor. And step 3, finally, we size the actual array against your worst-case peak sun hours. Let's break down exactly how this math plays out. Okay, I want you to really focus here because this math is basically your off-grid survival guide. Notice how we build it step by step. Step 1, energy consumption. That's just power times 24 hours. So for our 1,000-watt load, bam, there's our 24,000 watt-hours. Step 2 is where the magic really happens: required energy. We take that daily load and we divide it by the overall system efficiency. If your setup is, say, 80% efficient overall, you divide by 0.8. And watch what happens. That significantly bumps up the amount of energy your panels actually need to produce. Then, step 3, array sizing. We take that new, higher required energy number and divide it by our worst-case peak sun hours. That gives you the true actual panel capacity in watts that you need to go out and buy. But hang on, the math isn't totally finished until we run a crucial constraint check. You absolutely have to verify that your solar array can simultaneously run your daytime devices and execute a heavy night recovery charge. Think about it. Your array needs enough juice to push that full 1,000 watt load during the day, while at the exact same time it has to dump a massive amount of power back into the batteries to recover from what you burned the night before. If you skip this check, your system is going to slowly bleed out over a few short days. Moving on to Section 4, 48-volt architecture and safety. So, the golden rule of electricity is simple. Power equals voltage times current. Because our power requirement here is a fixed, heavy, relentless 1,000 watts, if we try to use a lower voltage like 12 volts, the current has to completely skyrocket to compensate. And high current means dangerous heating losses in your cables and massive stress on your components. Bumping up to a 48-volt architecture is basically essential here. Why? Because it drops that current significantly, which increases your efficiency and drastically cuts down on dangerous cable heat. Because honestly, if you undersize the array, your system faces some pretty catastrophic risks. When you force batteries into daily deep cycling without giving them a full recovery charge, you get chronic undercharging. In lead-acid batteries, this causes sulfation, which is a fancy way of saying it literally chokes the battery to death over time. Or if you're using lithium, you get severe state of charge drift, where the battery's internal computer literally just loses track of how much energy it actually has left. Eventually, this triggers those incredibly frustrating inverter low-voltage cutoffs right when you need power the most. And worse, even at 48 volts, a poorly designed system that's desperately trying to catch up on a charge can hit dangerous DC current stress levels during recovery. Finally, Section 5, the daily energy economy. Ultimately, running a 1,000-watt continuous load isn't really about how big your inverter is. It's about energy production discipline. Your solar array isn't just turning on some devices. It is single-handedly sustaining a full 24-hour energy economy. If your daily production does not exceed your daily consumption, accounting for every single one of those real-world losses, the entire system is going to fail. Period. It doesn't matter how massive your battery bank is. The battery only buys you time. The array buys you survival. Now that we've broken down all this survival math and the real discipline required for continuous systems, I want to leave you with a thought to really ponder. What demanding off-grid loads are you trying to power continuously 24 hours a day? Apply this rigorous step-by-step math to your own specific setup, account for those real-world losses, and build a system that's grounded in energy reality, not just optimism. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and we'll see you next time.